Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. This is James, and I got Will with me. We're here to talk about the character from The Walking Dead, Tyreese. What's up, Will? How's it going?
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. So we got Tyreese. He's a pretty strong character from the show. One of my favorites, because I actually thought he was one of my favorites in the comic, which all played out a little bit differently in the comic, but still, I think he's one of my favorite characters overall because he seemed like a good soul. Is that a good way to put it?
Mhm. Yeah, I think you had a good heart.
Yeah, he seemed like he cared about people and wanted to do good in the world. He changed the mind of Rick a couple times, saying how things should go and be, and Daryl helped along with that as well as far as Rick goes sometimes. Rick just wanted to kill the whole world sometimes. But our boy Tyrese showed up at the prison with his sister Sasha and some others, but then the fall of Woodbury, that first time they defeated the governor, he started seeing this chick Karen from Woodbury, and of course she got the fever. Carol burned the bodies, and that started a rift right there, and everything going down that road. Terminus, he got to Terminus. He had to deal with the whole look at the flowers thing with Carol, and then eventually made it to Noah's place, and of course that's where he met his demise. But pretty interesting character overall, I think.
Yeah, I think he was definitely a strong character. Like I said, he had a good heart. The fact that he was kind of, at one point, he was kind of wanting revenge. He was hell bent on revenge, that, him and Rick had that fight and, all that. I think that slowly, like, he learned forgiveness, when he had to forgive Carol and, that whole situation that happened when they had the situation with the looking at the flowers.
Right.
So I kind of wish that he had a little longer run and stuff like that. But overall, I mean, I had no complaints about his character arc.
Yeah, and I think you've mentioned T-Dog as well as a favorite character. He's one of mine as well because he's another one that seemed to have a good heart about him. And I think with T-Dog and Tyreese, it's one of those two of those characters that I wish had lasted a little longer just because I like the character.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, T-Dog. I mean, I think his character was cut a little too short. Hey, that's just how it goes sometimes. But Tyrese, with being a protector of the group, I think he was kind of the leader of his little group when they came to the prison.
Yeah.
So going from a leader, protector, having a lookout to like almost begging, please let us stay, please help us, to, seeking refuge with the governor and how that all played out. I think I probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah, Carol, she's a Rambo anyway, and she's had to do a lot of bad stuff. Not just the burning of the bodies trying to stop the fever, but the whole Lizzie look at the flowers thing. And Tyreese, he's just like, I'll stay in the house and keep the baby, while you take care of it.
I think his conscience was a little bit too big. He didn't want to make the hard decisions or have to live with making those hard decisions on his conscience.
I agree, man. And I think in a situation like that, an apocalypse or something, people think maybe, I don't know, they could do it. But it's like you see it in a lot of movies and shows where they think they can do it, but when they do, it disgusts them to the point where they can't do it again or they wish they hadn't. Because killing ain't an easy thing for some people, but I guess for some people it is.
I don't know if I could kill anyone just to kill them. Maybe they would have to do something to me or like, self-defense. So I can understand the whole having a guilty conscience or not wanting to be the one who bears the burden of having to make the decisions or carry out something like shooting a little girl in the back of the head because technically she was mentally unstable.
And I mean, and a murderer, you could say that too, and that's a big
Yeah.
thing. And that I think, I don't know if it was me and you or somebody else, we talked once about pulling the trigger and everything in her situation, Lizzie's. It'd be so hard to do, even knowing she's, mentally off and everything, and it would be impossible to take care of her in the situation they're in. But she just killed her sister, so I don't know if that would drive me. Like, I'd be so damn angry. Like, why the hell did you do that, you crazy little, I would probably be so angry. Maybe I could. I don't know. But
Yeah.
but Tyreese, he was a good guy. He was a great character. Even though they changed him in the show, I'm not mad about how they wrote his character, really, because I thought they did okay. Yeah, he's one of my favorite, I guess, out of a handful.
Yeah. I could definitely give him a spot. As I wouldn't say he's like my super favorite. He was a good character. He played his part in the story. So yeah, he's one of the good ones for me. I definitely think that looking at him as big as he was as a big man or whatever, you would have thought he would have been a little more tougher. But if I guess if you think about it, like he was tough when he needed to be tough, and he was soft when he needed to be soft.
Yeah. Yeah, especially, emotionally and stuff. Physically, he was tough, just tough. I mean, he got in that big, all he had was his hammer and they just overcame him. Oh, Bob was there or something going, nah, Tyreese, Tyreese, yelling and like they just consumed or, you couldn't see Tyreese no more. They overwhelmed him, but then here he comes a little bit later. You think maybe they got him. And here he comes a little bit later with just blood all over him and just bloody hammer.
Yeah,
He's pretty badass.
that's a pretty bold. Yeah, that's a pretty bold weapon. That's hand to hand with
Yeah.
all those walkers and stuff
Yeah, that's
without
close.
getting bit.
Yeah, close combat right there, boy.
Yeah, that's in the trenches for real. So I'll ask you on a scale from 1 to 10, how do you rate Tyrese's character?
He's probably, to me, he's probably at least an 8, just because of what he went through and what he did and his good heart and such. I liked his storyline. Like some characters, even Carol's. Carol's one of my favorite characters. But up to a certain point, if you start counting in season 9 and 10, and it starts getting a little wonky as far as what I thought about her. So, Tyreese didn't have that long for me to think bad about his character. He's one that I just enjoyed all the way to the end and hated to see go. What about you?
Yeah, I was giving him a 7, and I kind of agree with you about the Carl's story part. There was a part where it was almost like she was almost annoying him a little bit,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And so I definitely understand where you're coming from on that.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, good character. I think he did a lot of good things. Can't really think of really anything bad he did. It just seemed like he tried to make it. Even when he was with the governor, they were with the governor there for a little bit. He was just trying to be a good guy, and but he realized that the governor was a bad dude. So he wised up, and that's pretty good in any character that realizes, this shit ain't right. The situation
Yeah,
ain't
he,
right.
he definitely he would go along to get along up to a certain point.
Yep. Yeah, he was a good character, and I like Chad Coleman as an actor. He was in one of my favorite. He's in one of my, I guess, my favorite show of all time. It's called The Expanse. It's a sci-fi show, and he's in that.
No, I watched it.
It's great.
I watched The Expanse.
The Expanse is.
Yes, I was sad that they kept going. I mean, kind of towards the end there, like with Celine, that stuff. I mean, I don't know. I liked it though. I definitely like The Expanse.
It's one of my favorite shows, and Chad Coleman. Some trivia: auditioned for the role of Morgan, but they gave him Tyreese instead. So that happens a lot in TV shows, especially The Walking Dead. Like Daryl auditioned for Merle, and they just made a whole new character for Daryl because they liked him. So you never
I don't
know.
know. Yeah, I don't think I could have seen Daryl as Murray. Like Merle is Daryl and Daryl is Merle.
Yeah, I think they liked Rooker for Merle, but they liked Daryl also, Norman Reedus. So they're like, well, let's have Merle have a brother because they didn't see him as Merle either, you know. So they're like, let's make a new character, Daryl.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember them talking about how they made Daryl's character. So yeah, I definitely think. Let me ask you this real quick. I know it's kind of might be a little off topic, but who do you think the best character is?
I still have Rick Grimes in my number one. I like Carol. I like Daryl. I like it, several of them, but Rick's probably my number one. Because I actually think Rick Grimes, if you put the comic and the show together, and even if it was just a comic, I would probably still say I think he's one of the best characters of all media that's out there. Rick Grimes, the character.
I, definitely. I don't think The Walking Dead would have lasted as long had they not casted Andrew Lincoln as Rick.
Mm-hmm.
I think the whole first season they were hitting everything right. All the characters are right. Everything was right. And so me personally, I like Negan.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's the best. It's just like the funniest one for me when he's like Rick and his merry band of pricks.
Yeah. He's
It's just
gonna.
he always has something funny. He always has something funny to say, a good sarcastic comeback or
Yeah.
something like that. And at first, I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this Negan story arc. No, I was kind of getting stale on it, but I don't know.
He's he's a
Jeffrey Morgan made Negan funny.
right. He's a big character as far as you. I mean, I'm surprised actually as a Walking Dead channel reviewer person how many people do love him and don't care that he did bad stuff and those kind of things. Like just the popularity of Negan is really, really big. But a lot of people hate him. There's a big group that hate Negan. But there's even with the comic, I think Robert Kirkman knows that the comic Negan is one of the most, if not the most popular character. And so he wants to maybe continue his story one day because Rick's dead in the comic and Negan's just as popular as Rick, it seems like in the comic. So even Robert Kirkman realizes that that's a big character, Negan.
I'm not too sure. Does Kirkman have any input on the show?
Not anymore as much. I mean, he's still the creator, and they have to put executive producer and things created by him and all that kind of stuff. But since he's had a falling out with them a little bit, so he doesn't, and they're past the source material, so not as much as he did.
But since it's his like so now they're past the source material, then they can do whatever they want with it.
Well, they own the rights, so they can do whatever they want with it anyway, pretty much. Like they bought the TV rights and own it, period. So, and they call it another universe, so they can do whatever. So,
The Walking Dead universe.
yes.
Yeah.
So the TV universe is different. That Rick is different than the Rick in the comic. In the comic universe, Rick died. In the TV universe, he may not die. He's still alive at this point. So, it's just a different. That's how they explain. Well, that's why the character died this way in the show and that way in the comic, because it's two different universes, very similar, but two totally different places and people.
Kind of how the Marvel universe and all that.
Yeah, trying to do something like that. So that's how they keep it. And Kirkman is still in total control of the comic side of things, and so what he's kind of hinted at maybe continuing the story and have Negan in it, possibly following Negan a little bit further one day, So that would be the comic, a whole different story,
I have dabbled in the comics, so I'm not too familiar with how past the first couple of episodes because I have one of the one of the thick, I think it's called a compendium or something.
Yep.
And it's like the first, I don't know, 100. How many issues are there? It can't be 100 that one. Maybe
Uh,
like the first 25 or something.
yeah, I forget how many is per compendium, but yeah, something like that. So you got the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good one. I actually I don't have all the comics, but I have some of the smaller. They've only got like 4 or 5 of the comics in it, and I forget what you call those. I've got several of those, but if I ever want to read, I break out the compendiums. I have those.
Yeah. I used to watch, there used to be a Facebook page called The Walking Dead Comics. I'm not sure if it's still around or if there's not one, another one that popped up and replaced it. But they would post pictures of the comics, each page of each comic. And they had a lot of them on there. I think they probably got shut down, but
Right.
you could just click on on their photo album and just read. So I kind of always got up to like around the same point. They're at the farm or something like that. Oh, that's all I remember. Damn, it's cold.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff though, The Walking Dead. I like the comic and the show. I like Tyreese in both, and a lot of good characters. It's just a show with a lot of good characters. It's got a lot of history now that it's been on forever, and it's looks like the comic could keep going at some point, and it looks like the show's going to keep going. No telling how long. So we'll just have to see how it all plays out.
Well, I guess hopefully they continue to make good characters and hopefully the writing on the next spin out is better.
Yeah, yeah, that's about all we can hope for, I guess.
But yeah, I know you and me were discussing possibly starting to review another TV show. So I guess if anybody in the comments has a suggestion, post it, let us know, and we'll look into seeing which show we're going to look at.
Yep, sounds good to me. And maybe one old show, new show, one we've already watched, something that's coming out soon, doesn't matter. Just let us know.
Yeah, and we'll just talk. I mean, we don't have to do a full episode by episode review. We can just kind of talk about it too, and have a couple of discussions on different parts of the shows, kind of like what we're doing now.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, yeah, let us know any of your thoughts down in the comments and any thoughts about Tyreese, what you guys thought about Tyreese, the character, and his journey, short journey, kind of through The Walking Dead,
Yeah.
medium journey. But we'll wrap this one up. It's good to talk to you guys. Let us know all those things, what you think down in the comments below, and we'll join you there. This is James and Will signing off.